Hey class, Miss Womack here with a little bit of trigonometry basic training. First we'll start with the whole idea of creating the angles. Wanted to send you to this website here that you see on the bottom. It's a great way to understand what I'll be talking about. And we'll start with some of the vocabulary. Sure, you've heard of an angle, but we're going to take a closer look and define. An angle's two rays, no doubt about it, but we'll be drawing some angles, and we'll also find some new ideas about angles exceeding 360 degrees. The first thing you want to understand is that we'll begin with an initial side, which is like it sounds. That's where it's going to begin. And the terminal side, so as the angle opens up, like right there, this is going to be our terminal side. Of course, it's made up of two different rays, and there are two different directions actually that we'll be talking about. You can take clockwise and counterclockwise measures on this one. So, standard position, the vertex, which is located right here, that is at the origin and I'll write that on here, origin. And the initial side will be along your x-axis. This will make more sense in just a moment. So here we have the idea of positive and negative angles. Now go ahead and draw. So on this particular angle, which I'll estimate, this right here would be our initial side. And it's going to, and this is how we would draw an angle. We'll put the other ray in this direction right about there. And then you have to add actually the directional arrow, which is right here, when you're drawing an angle. And that's how we're going to be drawing these angles. So again, this is going to be your initial side right here, initial. And our terminal side will be over here. So the same can be said, but we need to remember the reason why we have our directional arrow is we can see it right here. Again, this is still your initial side, but imagine that it's actually opening now counterclockwise and going in this direction and ending right there. So again, positive angles are going to be positive angles in a standard position. Here we go, and a negative angle here. So we're just looking for the word positive. We're also seeing that they go clockwise. And negative angles, they actually turn in a counterclockwise direction. So again, angles lie in quadrants that you're very familiar with. So in which side do we see the terminal side? Well, on this one, it is quadrant 1 because our terminal side is located right here. This arrow helps us to find it right there. So, and on this one, we are actually in quadrant 3. Here's our terminal side, and this is actually a negative angle. But we'll worry about that in just a minute. We want to talk about the quadrants. This is a positive angle that's going to open up. And it's actually made it all the way into quadrant 4. And then our last angle is going to be in quadrant 1. It is a negative angle. Here's our initial side, opening all the way to about right there. So again, our quadrants are going to come into play. And an angle describes, like it says, both the amount and the direction. So we can see that this one, based off of the arrow, is definitely a positive angle. We're seeing. This one is a negative angle that we're seeing. This one, based off of the direction, is also positive. And this last one was a negative angle. So I was going to put a negative sign there. So here's our basics for, and it looks pretty obvious. So an angle whose terminal side coincides with one of the axes. So we'll go ahead and start adding some of the numbers. And as suspected, we have a right angle if we're opening up our angle, and we'll begin here with our initial side. And if we opened up to right here, that's about 90 degrees. And we're increasing over that. So we know it's somewhere between 90 and 180. We'll work a little bit more on some of the halfway points. And you kind of see that if this was, it's a little less than 45 degrees between here and here. So we know it's not quite 135 degrees. Maybe it's about 120 degrees. Would be a good guess for that one. We'll get out our protractors, maybe measuring those to see our accuracy on our guesses. But this one over here is actually the same, sort of the same angle, but it's actually opening up in an opposite direction. So this is going to end up being like a negative 120. Here's our initial side, but based off of the arrow, we know that it's opening in the opposite direction or counterclockwise. And that's about a negative 120 degrees, whereas that one, again, was positive 120 degrees. So here's our negatives and positives and our checkpoints on how we do that. And notice the change of direction, that it's like reversed. We begin with 0 degrees here, coming all the way around doing a 360. And then we'll do the opposite in this direction to a negative 360. So keep those two ideas in mind as well. So I'd like for you to take a little time and try drawing these angles. Again, you can have positive angles and have negative angles.